The rise of China economically was, if you look at it, directly equal to the date of the opening of the World Trade Organization. It has been great for China and terrible for the United States. We'll be imposing tariffs on steel imports and tariffs on aluminum imports. And you're going to see a lot of good things happen. You're going to see expansions of the companies.
Only one day after President Trump announced high tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, the markets continued to not like it so much. They liked it a little better than they did initially, down 75 points for today. It was off quite a bit more than that at one point, but you got 4 days of losses this week. It was pretty ugly for those for the stock. So as most of the so-called experts agree, that this is not a great idea for the U.S. economy, including some people in the White House. But my next guest says that there is one saving grace that he found to write something nice about in this. He says it will actually upset China, and that may be the goal. So here now, Tom Rogan, commentary writer at the Washington Examiner. Tom, good to see you tonight. You basically hate everything about this except that, right?
Correct. Yeah, good to be with you, Martha. That's the basic gist, yes.
So tell me why.
Yes, well, so the basic premise of my argument, apologies, here is that with China being the key, as I see it, mechanism towards getting North Korea to the table diplomatically in a serious way on the North Korean nuclear crisis, by President Trump taking this action out of the blue, surprisingly, in a way that actually hurts China to some degree, that's a positive step, because I think following the Olympics, the Chinese had basically come to the conclusion that there was going to be no more negative pressure from the United States, and they could essentially play out the clock with North Korea. Yeah. And I think that shakes this up.
I mean, we talk often about China and its desire to become the world dominant country, the world dominant power. And they're trying to do it on every front. And we're going to show in a moment. But this is something that has been, sort of in Donald Trump's craw when he was not president for decades. I mean, this might be actually the thing that drove him to run for president in the first place. He has been very unhappy about these trade imbalances for a long time. His people claim that it's going to make such a minuscule change in the price of things. That's their argument. Are they right or wrong, Tom?
Well, I think they're probably wrong in the sense that, yes, it will be marginal in terms of basic canned goods. I mean, we saw Wilbur Ross talking about that today. But the problem is, for poor families, that marginal cost has a disproportionate impact. But when you get to the higher end stuff, building high-end parts, the comparative advantage the United States has, for example, building airplanes, that's a problem when you build up that marginal cost. And ultimately, the people who will benefit, yes, President Trump did promise this. I don't think he can be criticized for delivering on what he promised in that regard. But at the policy level, the hundreds of millions of Americans will feel a marginal difference of differing degrees, and hundreds of thousands of Americans will feel a marginal gain, and those in the steel and aluminum, or aluminium, as we say.
As you like to say, aluminium.
Yeah.
Stuart Varney
yes,
says it that way,
exactly.
too. All right, Tom, thank you. Good to see you tonight.